Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Shrikant Acharya. I'm the CEO at offineeds.com, and welcome to the 20th episode of Employee Engagement Live. Once again, I'm Shrikant Acharya, and I'm the CEO at offineeds.com. Offineeds is a leading corporate gifting and custom merchandise company based in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai in India. I'm super thrilled because we've completed 19 episodes of Employee Engagement Live. Today is the 20th episodes, and over these 19 and this 20th episode, I've had the opportunity to speak, interact, learn, and pull out interesting stories related to employee engagement from some amazing professionals from HR, corporate communication. We've spoken to different authors, and it's been really great. So before I bring today's guest to you, let me talk a little bit about why we do Employee Engagement Live. So without a doubt, for any organization, engaging their employees, keeping the culture high is one of the most important things. But with the pandemic, which started about 1.5 years back, with remote working, work from home, um, without physical meetings, employee engagement nosedived and presented a brand new set of challenges to HR and corporate communication folks of different companies. Because of the nature of business that I'm in, and because of the kind of business we are in, we have the opportunity to work with several large organizations, and I had the opportunity to see how they're doing things differently. And that's why I started this series called Employee Engagement Live, where we speak to seasoned HR professionals and kind of get their viewpoints on employee engagement, some anecdotes, some stories, some philosophies, some ideas, and so on. So today I have a very interesting person on the 20th episode. His name is Govind Negi. Govind is the head of a talent and delivery center for India for a company called Three Pillar Global. Global builds breakthrough software products that power digital businesses. It's a global organization with about 600 employees in India. Govind has about 21 years of experience in the HR domain, where he's worked with companies like Kazani Group of Companies, Denave India Private Limited, Paharpur Business Center and Software Technology Incubator Park, and now with Three Pillar Global. At Three Pillar, Govind really is the country head for India, is the talent head for India, and is the learning and development head for global. So in addition to that, what Govind really is 10 years back, he started an organization called HR Success Talk, which is an association. It's a thriving association for HR professionals and business leaders. And currently, as we speak, it's got 150,000, that's 1.5 lakh members in its organization. So let's speak to Govind and find out his views on employee engagement. Govind, welcome to the 20th episode of Employee Engagement Live. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Shrikant, for inviting me to this employee engagement talk show. And I think you guys are doing a pretty good job. I'm good, thank you, and excited about having this conversation with you.
Awesome, thank you. Govind, let me ask you the question that I ask every guest. What, according to you, Govind, is employee engagement?
Well, Shrikant, I think this is a question which many people struggle with. Sometimes we feel that we have heard this word so many times that we know exactly what it is. But I believe that this word has changed from time to time. Like if you look at 10 years, 15 years back, the meaning of employee engagement was different than what it is today. But let me put you what I think employee engagement is all about. And the way I describe it, Shrikant, is that if you are waking up in the morning and if you don't feel like that you don't want to start your work today, then you are engaged with your organization because you have that zeal that you want to go and do something. And how do you get that zeal? How do you get that excitement? How do you get it when you know that what you are doing is making an impact to your
Yeah.
organization, to your team, to your project or department you are working for,
Mm.
or it connects with the overall purpose of the organization? I think
Mm.
that what make you excited to stand up from the bed and start contributing. So this
Right.
is what I feel is employee engagement in a very simple word, right? If you, as an organization, you are able to achieve that, you can say that your employees are engaged.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's the simplest and most crisp answer I've come across, and absolutely makes sense. If you don't feel the need to sleep a little bit more, then you're definitely absolutely engaged. So I want to welcome the audience. As we speak, we're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And wherever you're watching from, I think it's going to be an amazing session. I encourage you to keep a pen and paper handy to make some notes. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put that out in the comment section, and I'll point it to Govind towards the end of this session, and let's see what he has to say. Govind, as we were speaking, you mentioned the word culture quite a few times. So tell me, what is culture, and what is the role of culture in employee engagement, and what's your experience of what it takes to build a strong culture within an organization?
Yeah, Shrikant. And again, if you ask me about culture, the way I describe culture in a simple word is the way we do things here. And every organization, every religion, every country, every family, like these, we all have different cultures. When we use the word culture, like the way we do things, might be different the way other people do the things, right? That is their culture.
Mm,
Similarly, every organization has their own culture. There is no culture which is right and wrong. Organization build their culture considering what they want to achieve, connected with their
mm,
vision and mission in the organization.
mm,
um, Nowadays people are giving a lot of value to the culture they build, precisely because of the reason that the talent is looking for the culture of
mm,
the organization before they take decision to join the organization. And there are a lot of various tools available, of course. There is Glassdoor, there is other platforms where you can go and look at the reviews of the other fellow team members of the organization you want to join. It makes a lot of impact. It talks about the
yes.
culture you are going to join, because nobody wants to go and join a company to leave the company, right?
Mm,
Nobody has this
yeah.
intention. I have to go and gonna leave in 2 months. Nobody go in that,
Correct.
right? It is the
Correct.
culture of the organization which
Mm,
forces you, the environment, the conducive environment, non-conducive environment, which actually forces a person to either stay with the organization for a longer period of time or to leave it.
mm,
How do you build a culture? One of the important tasks of the business leaders and talent leaders of
mm,
any organization is to build the culture. If they can do it
mm,
right, this is the best gift they can give back to the organization. And
mm,
in terms of the growth of the business is going to support. Imagine you have team members who are fully engaged, who fully understand the purpose of the organization and how they want to, contribute to that. So
mm,
building a culture is not going to be easy task at all. But to begin with, we need to have a commitment and buy-in from the leadership
mm,
of the organization. If there is no commitment from the leadership, then you cannot build the culture. So the leadership has to tell what is that culture they want to build,
mm,
how that culture will look like, and then from there they need to walk the talk. They should not only tell their team members to live the culture, to do this and do that, and live our values, and they have to walk the talk. They have to also work in communicating those values and the culture to the organization. They have to operationalize it in every single thing you do. So it's a
mm.
vast thing, and of course we can talk in depth about it. But what I would say is that the key thing is that building a culture is myth if you don't have support from your leadership. If leadership is serious, you're gonna have a culture, the way the leadership wants to build the culture in the organization.
Right. Right. So let's talk about leadership, right? The role of leadership in culture building, and specifically, what exactly is leadership, and from a employee engagement or from an employer point of view, what kind of leaders do they respect, and what are the kind of typical leadership traits that empower an organization to become empower their employees to stay more engaged, more motivated, and want to wake up Monday morning and say, "Let's get to work."
Well, you know what? The interesting thing, Shrikant,
Yeah.
these are the words which we hear so much.
Mhm.
But when you really start talking and asking questions on those, sometimes it
Mm,
is very hard to answer them. Like you must have heard companies like, we want to build leaders in the
mm,
organization. But when
yeah.
you go back to them and say, what do you mean by a leader, right?
Mm,
And again, the leaders in the organization might differ from the organization to organization.
mm,
It is never, the competencies for a leader can never be a standard rule, right?
mm,
Maybe I'm looking for aggressive people in my company, right? I'm just giving an example. Maybe
mm,
some other company said, no, we don't need aggressive people, right? We need
right.
people who are like down to earth, right? This is what my
Mm,
leadership is all about. So this differ. What organization do not do is to spend time and define it.
mm,
What leadership meant for them,
mm,
what kind of leaders they need in the organization. So this is the first problem I've seen when you start having those conversations. And of course, it is not a conversation about what do you mean by leadership and go and open an English dictionary and find an answer to it, right? It is about employee engagement. Leadership do play a very important role to it. So the first thing they need to do is define it. One. Second,
mm,
people sometimes feel then when the word leaders and leadership is used, it is connected with a title. Like if you are a general
mm,
manager, if you are a director of the company, if you are a vice president, president of the company, then you are a leader. And that's
mm,
the myth. A leader is never ever attached with the title. A leader is a quality, is an aura which you always bring. Or like we are an IT software development company. The way we say it in three pillars, Shrikant, a software engineer one can also be a leader in his and her role, provided we have some leadership manifesto which they should be following or
mm,
they should follow. So what I'm trying to say is that Tripla Global has actually worked and defined what leadership meant for us.
mm,
And came up with a leadership manifesto. And the first thing we always say in that manifesto is that it has nothing to do with your title.
mm,
It is to do how you behave,
mm,
how you act, how do you take decisions. That's what define you as a leader. Now you
mm,
asked like what is like a leader is all about. So the as I said, it's different from organization to organization. The way Tripla thinks about leader is that we think a leader should be compassionate.
mm,
So when I say compassionate means it's not that the person should have emotional intelligence. Of course the person should have emotional intelligence, but when you see somebody in problem, then you should not only feel that but should be able to act on it.
mm,
Just not say, you know what, oh, you are sick, I'm so sorry to hear that. As a leader in three pillar, you should be able to do something about it. Like whether the
mm,
person need a doctor or some support or a medicine or medical insurance, what that person needs, you should act on it. That's what your people need. The
right.
second thing we say is that the leader should be developmental. What developmental mean? Not only the leader should work on their own development, because the learning never stops. They should
Mm,
also work on the development of their team member.
mm,
They
right.
should be courageous, meaning they should be able to take risk.
Mm,
So we always say whenever you're taking the target for yourself in your team, always take courageous target. Don't settle with what you have already accomplished. Like a little bit more. This is what we always also learn in setting goals, right? You take more than what you have already accomplished. Make your team accountable. Be a little courageous
yeah.
and be responsible. Being
Mm,
responsible means you cannot go away from your leadership responsibility.
mm,
So if you are achieving good results, it's because of your team. If you are not achieving good results, you have to also see in yourself as a leader what are the things you are not doing well. So
mm,
I think these are the quality which we have defined in three pillar, and I'm
right.
sure every organization might have a different definition.
Awesome. Fantastic. Love that answer. I want to dig a little bit deeper and ask you, you mentioned about taking risk and you mentioned about courage, right? Can you give us some examples on so what one of the perceptions is generally when you're at a leadership position, there's too much visibility, and if you take risk, you're probably going to going to end your career, or it could be fatal to your career, right? So that's kind of contradicting to the general perception that's there. So talk a little bit more to us about the risk taking, the risk taking and the courage that you spoke about as a trait of leadership.
And you know what, Shrikant? These all things connect.
Mm,
Now, The answer to that is connected with the culture of the organization.
Mm.
So these are in all the things you're talking about: the leadership, the employee engagement, the competency, the courage. Everything is connected. As a leader, you cannot be courageous if your culture is not conducive. Now, let me
Mm.
tell you what I mean by that. If you know that you will be scolded and penalized for your failures, you will never take risk. So, if we are saying we want our leaders to be courageous, we have to build a conducive environment where they should be able to take risk.
Mm.
We should allow them to fail, but also at the same time, they should learn from it
Mm.
and change their strategy.
Mm.
There are many decisions we have taken in our in my tenure in Three Pillar, where we have taken very like a lot of decisions. Now, another thing about decision is no decision is worse. You still take a decision, so a wrong decision is better than no decision, right? This is what you're supposed to do as a leader. And you
Right.
correctly said leadership has a visibility, right? Whether you're taking a right decision or wrong decision, they will watch you. But if you
Yes.
know the culture of your organization supports it, because when you as a team member taking a wrong decision and you're telling your leader that you have taken a wrong decision because of which this mess has come up, and your leader is
Mm. Mm.
supporting you because you did not put it under the carpet. You brought it.
Mm.
You are vulnerable. You said, you know what, I made a mistake. Now I'm looking up to you as a leader to support me in this. Now, as a leader, it's my responsibility to support my team member as opposed to saying that why you made this mistake. He
Right.
or she has come up to you to tell you that. So I think when you build this kind of culture, or the culture where people can fail, it is not
Mm.
only true for leader but true for everybody in the organization. Now let me give
Right.
you one example, very quick example of that.
Mm.
During pandemic, um, you know that a lot of in India the second wave was very hard. Honestly speaking, Shrikant, it was one of the worst time I have ever seen in my career.
Mm.
It was nothing. It was never about business. It was never about money. It was about the life of your people.
Yeah.
In Three Pillar, we value our team members a lot.
Mm.
Our global leadership supported by giving me an authority to use as much as fund I want to use to support our people, whether I
Mm.
want to use it in terms of their medical facilities or whatsoever we want to use.
Mm.
Even after doing all that stuff, we lost three people.
Mm.
Right? Of course, there are certain things which are not in your hand, right? There are medical conditions you just can't change things out there. When
Right.
I look back, Shrikant, sometimes I feel that I could have taken some decision faster than I
Mm.
did, right? But I took decisions which might have made impact, considering the kind of variable and versatile situation going on. Nobody knew what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Small example of the oxygen concentrator, like you must have
Mm.
heard that people are not getting oxygen and all that stuff.
Correct.
We went out of the box to buy oxygen concentrator for our people.
Mm.
And maybe I could have taken decision 2 days back before, consider the fact that what was going on in the rates and prices of those, right?
Yeah.
But I've never heard anybody in my organization coming up and saying that you could have done it earlier.
Mm.
What I heard is that we are grateful to the organization to the support they have provided.
Mm.
So I think being courageous, taking decision is all okay, provided you have a culture to support it. And the way we say that always have back of your team, it also lies to the leaders, right? Leaders also have
Yeah.
people to whom they report to. So you also expect them to have your back. So I think
Right.
that's about the culture and how it connects with the being courageous.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I love the answers and the example that you've given. So I want to take a quick detour and talk about HR Success Talk. But before that, I want to say that we're undergoing some kind of a technical glitch and we're live on Facebook and YouTube, but for some reason we're not live on LinkedIn. And I've shared the link there, and I hope some people will be joining on YouTube and Facebook. And those who are live right now, I thank you for your presence. And it's a great time for you to share any questions that you might have to Govind, and in a few more minutes, I'll point that to Govind. Govind, let's talk about HR Success Talk, right? Now, we're living such a busy schedule. People, corporates, and every profession is chock-a-block. The calendars are are totally full. And in the middle of all of that, you're a part of two organizations. One is HR Success Talk, which has got 1.5 lakh members, and I've seen the community. They're really, really passionate. I've had the opportunity to interact with some of the volunteers who work with this organization. So I want to ask you about that, and also maybe you can talk a little bit about your the other trust, Amrita Trust, which you're also a founder of.
So let me start by giving the credit of what I do to my current organization, 3 Global. And the way I would say it, Srikanth, is that one of our values out of 4 values, one of our values is outsized impact. And what this value is all about. This value says that we can make an impact to the whole world. And the way we do it could be different. You might be running an NGO, you're doing a social work or volunteering, or you might be impacting your client's client. If you make a very drastic change or impactful change in the product you are building for your client and changing their life, this is again an outsized impact you are creating to the world, right? So let me start from that. So I have always been encouraged by an organization, not only me, but everybody, to do something where we are making an impact to the world. 10 years back, I started HR Success Talk with a vision to bring all the HR and business leaders together across the world to come and talk about different kind of business and talent problems and find out some solution and best practices which we can share further with the world, where they can get some benefit out of it. And yes, we are growing very fast. We are really a true community. We necessarily don't call ourselves as an organization, because we are not an organization, but because sometimes the organization is tagged with like companies, right? We are a community, and of course we're an organization, but we're a community. So this community is now present in India, UAE, Ghana, and Saudi Arabia, with 150,000 members across the globe, and growing every single day. In fact, we have started. Thank you. In fact, we have started some state chapters in India, and the idea is very, very, very clear, Shrikant, is that if we can make an impact in the career of our members in any way, the benefit people get out of it, of course, they get knowledge and they share knowledge, but they also get some career advancement. Like, we have members from a junior to the CXO level, and everybody has different development need. They leverage this platform for that. And let me share one story around it. So as you mentioned, that I also lead L&D globally for 3 Global. 3.5 years back, when Jamie Whitaker, who is my manager, actually approached me and said, Govind, would you like to lead L&D globally for 3 I was not very sure, because I've never been an L&D guy, right? Conducting a training, organizing a training is different than being an L&D leader, right? L&D leader is entirely a different ball altogether. Shrikant, HR Success Talk was the network which really helped me. I took the challenge. Then I went back to the HR Success Talk community. I found 2 L&D leaders from IT companies who actually taught me how to drive L&D strategy and connect it with business. I can proudly say, Shrikant, because of their initial mentoring, 3.5 years, we have really built a very mature L&D organization in 3 I would sometimes say better than what my mentors might have built in their organization, maybe because we have more authority and flexibility to build what we want to build, and maybe also because 3 actually invest a lot in the development of our people. So this is the example by which HR Success Talk has helped other and helped me. Now, coming to Amrita Devi Foundation, I belong to Uttarakhand, but I was born there, but I do not have memories, because I was very young when my father and the family settled in Delhi NCR. I spent, like, I'm 41 years old, spent like 41 years in Delhi NCR. But 3 years back, when I went back to Uttarakhand, Almora is the district where I belong to, I had this feeling, Shrikant, that I have spent and given so much of my life and time and build this community of HR Success Talk also, where I'm giving back to the society. But I have
Mm,
never done anything for my motherland, like the the land I belong to, and I'm
mm,
capable to do so, right? And I was kind of brainstorming, thinking about it. How do I support? And again, I got support from my organization saying, you know what? Don't think. If you think that you want to do it, do it. Build an NGO, support people. And today, Shrikant, we are moving ahead with a vision to develop the skills of girls and women in Uttarakhand. But not only that, the main focus is to provide them employment opportunity. Happy to
awesome.
say, this year we had 120 target. We are going to complete 120 girls and women and touch their life, and out of which 15 are already self-dependent. This is
Awesome.
so proud moment for all of us, including myself, plus the volunteers who support us there. A very proud moment to us.
Amazing, amazing. I think both of these are really, really inspiring stories. The fact that you've heard this anecdote or the quote that says your network is your net worth, right? And I think that's proven. And I've seen what an active community HR Success Talk is. So for all those HR professionals who are here who are probably not a part of HR Success Talk, can you tell them how can they become a part of the community?
Yeah, Shikant. Yeah, I think we have 150,000 members, and our process of becoming a member is very simple. You do not have to fill any form to be a member or pay any fees to be a member. You can just simply visit our Facebook page, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere you find us. You just have to like, subscribe, and follow us, and you are part of us. You will start getting all those information, the best practices, the events which we do, and you can follow us in multiple ways. Right now, we are conducting an award series
Mm,
where we are recognizing all people in 10 categories, and we call that the Global Excellence Award 2021.
mm,
50% of the nominees right now is outside India, and on December 11th we are doing an award show in Gurugram, which will be in hybrid model. Shrikant, we're going to use technology, so we're going to do it both, in a in-person setup, but also we have global audience, so people can watch us live in multiple ways globally,
right.
and people will be joining us through Zoom calls, and it will be a surprise for those who actually gonna get the award. So, so I'm looking forward to that. This is a way by which people get recognized and appreciated for the hard work they are doing.
Awesome. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So we have Nimisha and Deepthi and Jitin and a few other people who are commenting on Facebook and a couple of other places. So thank you so much for being a part. I see Deepthi, you have a question that you addressed to Govind. I will put that up in a short while. But before I do that, Govind, I cannot but notice that you're wearing a jacket with your company logo on it. So tell me, what role does merchandise have to play with employee engagement?
Well, that's an interesting question, Shrikant, because in virtual world, the way you interact and engage your people has completely changed.
Yes.
In many occasions, people do ask me, like, what kind of engagement activities and initiatives you are taking to engage your people. And of course, this is the answer is very huge. Like, I can connect it with culture, the development, and all that stuff. But because you're asking specifically about merchandise and the gifts people like to have, sometime and others, I think in this virtual world, one way, and I don't have the complete answer, by the way, to that. Like, I'm not an expert in it. I'm still finding out what excites people, right, in this virtual world, how, why they feel so connected, what can we do, stuff like that. So we are learning from whatever we are experimenting. And one of the things we have experimented this year, Shrikant, is merchandise and gifts.
Hmm.
We have sent wellness kit to our people.
Hmm.
We have sent merchandise, like,
Hmm.
and very soon we will be completing 400 in 20, like in 400 people in India, and we're going to celebrate that too. So I
Awesome.
think people like merchandise, but what they like more from other than a merchandise, and I think that's what the secret I found, was the experience.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something which I was sharing with one of my team members few days back. And so we were supposed to send some gifts to our people. It's
Mm.
gonna be spoiler for some of our team members who are supposed to get those gifts, right? So I was talking to the uh, to the to the port development leader in India. His name is Chirag Chandani. Chirag, I'm taking your name and example in the conversation I had with you. So it's a spoiler, but I hope that by the time our team members will listen to this interview, we are already done with what we want to do. So I and Chirag were having this conversation, and we are talking about like we want to send something to our people, but how do we make this experience good? So Chirag said, well, maybe we should send a card along with, the gift we are sending. And then I told him that, what people appreciate a lot is the experience they are getting and the involvement of the person who is sharing that gift to you. Of course, they will like if they get some gift from organization, but they will like more when they get a card which is handwritten by their leader.
Yes.
Now, then I categorized to him the way I explained it. Maybe it's good for the corporate gifting thing which people do, organization do. If you want to make the biggest impact, or let me start with the lowest impact. If you want to make a lowest impact, just send a printed card. And let me tell you, Shrikant, what's going to happen with that card. Doesn't
Mm.
matter whose name is there at the end, right? Who's sending that card? It's going to be thrown away. And a bad word in a dustbin. They
Right.
keep the they keep the gift and throw that card because not because they want to be disrespectful, because they don't feel connected with the card, right? They know it's
Yes.
printed, right? It's a printed. You
Mm.
can print thousands, right? But if you want to make little more impact and you don't have that much of time, right? You sign that card.
Mm.
So there could be more probability that this card will not be thrown away. Maybe
Yeah.
50% thrown away,
Mm.
50% still people will keep because it has the signature of the sender.
Yes.
If you really want to make a huge impact, you have to write every card yourself, very personalized. It's not every card should have, what, thank you very much, you did this. That. No. Say, hey, Govind, I really appreciate your contribution, the way you drive employee engagement in the organization. Because of you and your contribution, we have reached where we want to reach. Hey, Shrikant, we really appreciate your corporate gifting solutions.
Yes.
This has to be personalized that to that level. Trust me,
Yes.
Shrikant, nobody will ever dare to throw it even 5 years down the line. And see what happened. Chirag took the challenge to write 400 card for team members.
Wow.
Now you can imagine the amount of effort he needs to make. This is
Right.
what leadership is all about.
Mm.
This is what you have to do as a leader to make sure that your people know that you value them, right? It's not
Yes.
just a gift. It's my card coming to you. I'm writing it for you. I'm spending my time. People value it a lot. This is what merchandise experience of gifting can do to the employee engagement. Hope I could answer, like, from a corporate gifting perspective. This is going to be huge. People have to invest a lot in the employee experience, and I know your services too. And what I love about your portal is the merchandise, sub macro and macro platform you have built. Loved it because in this virtual world, one of the challenges that how do you send all this stuff to everybody, right? And you have
Yeah.
to find those webs. I love this, very creative, and I know that organization has to do it because now people are not coming in office. You can't just hand over by hand, so you have to find those ways by which you can do it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. And just to clarify, Govind has no affiliation with Off Needs. And thank you for that kind word. That solution is called Official Brand Store, where we set up e-commerce merchandise stores for our clients. So Krutika, Nimisha, Deepthi, I think they've got your cards and they just love it to bits. So let me ask another question here on in the context of you've been in the space of HR for 20 plus years, right? So tell me a little bit about how the HR role itself has changed in these last 20 years. I remember you saying that when you started off, it was all about payroll and statutory compliance and all those kind of things, and now it's very different. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think there's no secret that the role of talent has changed and the talent leaders have changed drastically. Everybody know about it. And just to cut short, because people are already aware of it, what I'll focus on is what they should know. Yes, like I started my career 21 years back, Shikan, and we are talking offline about it. That when I wanted to change my first job, everybody used to ask questions on ESI, PF, gratuity, and all that stuff, and less interested in the other ways by which I can contribute to business, because that was the need at that point in time. A HR person is supposed to know all that stuff, because we were more focused on building policies and salary breakups and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I learned it because that was the need that point in time. What I would say, Shrikant, that we have changed to a business leaders nowadays. We are not only talent leaders. Even if you look at my profile, I'm a business leader for Triple India. I have to think about how can we impact business, of course, by leveraging talent, talent aspects, whether it is hiring the people, whether it is upskilling them on time, whether them retaining them. We are responsible for the gross margins of the organization too, right? We are responsible for the profit of the organization. We are responsible for the growth of the organization. And everybody play their role. It's not only talent. Everybody play their role. But talent does play their role, I think, more nowadays, and even in IT companies. Like, IT companies are very, very talent driven. And you must have heard about talent war, which is going on right now. Like, companies are throwing money like anything, even to the extent that the colleges are getting like they don't have students now. The colleges are becoming like, we cannot give you slot because everybody's taken, right? Well, it is good situation, because at the end of the day, people get benefited out of it.
Yes.
But there has to be a balance. If you don't maintain a balance, it will break someday. So, but
Yes.
right now, I would say talent war is going on. So it's on talent, it's on business leader to find creative ways to build employer brand, to build a culture, to retain your people, to engage people. Like as you said, employee engagement is the best thing you
Yeah.
can do, right? If you can retain your people, what best you can, like what else you can do best to your organization? Because you are growing. Every IT company is growing. Every company is
Yes.
growing. Like people thought pandemic will stop, like business is going haywire. Like you don't have people to deliver. One IT, like one IT professional has 10 offers in hand before they choose where to go. 10,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not kidding. I speak with a lot of IT head and IT HR head through my HR Success Talk network. The backout ratio has increased to, I'm not taking any figure from any survey. I'm telling you figures which I know in Delhi NCR, at least 50% backout. Like if you're hiring 10 people,
Yeah.
if you get 5, you're lucky enough. That too, you should be a good brand.
Yeah.
People should know it, or you should have something different than other people. Either you are throwing a lot of money, or you have a great culture, or you have something which people like to kind of, so I think the role of the HR is changing. Now I'll tell you what going to be the future for HR. And this is what the challenge we are facing right now, Shrikant, is that the world is going virtual. You must have heard of great resignation, right? The virtual
Yes.
world. People are disconnected. People, like, we have hired like 50% of our population in 3 pillar. By the way, just to give you context, 3 pillar is a work from anywhere permanent policy. So whether it is a COVID or no COVID does not matter. You can work from anywhere permanently. So people have moved to their hometown. Somebody went to Bangalore, somebody went to Pune or wherever they are belongs to, and they are good enough. They are happy where they are. I was doing a survey and I found 50% of my population is actually not living in the NCR. Now, as a HR, what it does to you? What it does to you is that people feel disconnected. Many new hires we have not seen. When I say we, the managers have not seen their people face to face. So the role of HR has changed, and it expected to change in future with this virtual work. I do not know what that will look like. Honestly, everybody is figuring it out. Everybody is having those conversations, taking tips from each other, implementing and seeing how it makes to. So I think HR is an interesting field. It's a talent, it's interactions with people, but it is also business. End of the day, right? You
Right.
have to a balance between your business and your. You just can't be favoring your business only, or you can't be just favoring your team members or employees only. So
Right.
it's going to be a huge change. And I would say to all HR professionals, I know they know it, but I'm going to still tell them that you're going to have changed the strategies and the way we used to work in this virtual environment now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think change is the only constant. As cliched as it might sound, change is happening at a much faster pace than we've ever seen before. We've got a few more minutes left before we can wind up the show, and we have a few. Let me pick a couple of questions. We have some questions from Deepthi on Facebook and a couple of questions from Gautam and Sandhya on YouTube. I'll pick Sandhya's question here. She says, while recruiting, what role does brand building have? I mean, I'll paraphrase that. What role you mentioned earlier? I hope you have a good brand. In spite of having a good brand, if you're lucky, 50% of the candidates show up. So let's talk a little bit about employer brand. From the generally, brand building is thought of as an activity to acquire customers. Now, how does brand building become relevant in acquiring talent?
Well, that's very important. As I said, if you are not working on your brand, if you're not building your employer brand, then you are going to lose a lot on the talent. Now, look at this perspective, and maybe I address it directly to Sandhya. So, Sandhya, when you get a job offer, what do you do the first thing? Of course, salary, and leave salary aside because nobody's going to work for less salary. And nowadays, the way the industries are working, nobody's going to offer you less salary. So, salary is not that a bigger question because, as I said, people have 10 offers, and each offer might be little more than other, right? What people also value is the organization they are going to work for, because for an employee, look at from an employee perspective or a candidate perspective, it is also a very important decision for that person to make. It is not an easy decision to leave your current company. You have made your reputation, people in a company, and suddenly you change to go somewhere else. You have a new manager, new colleague, new culture you are not aware of. You might have taken a good decision, and this decision might be a worst decision of your life if you don't know where you're ending. So what people do, what Sandhya we're going to do, what Sandhya is going to do is, first of all, Sandhya is going to go to the Facebook page of that company, and she's going to look at things, what this company tells, what they do for their team members, what kind of things they're coming. So she's going to have an idea of what is in the Facebook page, and she's going to make an impression about it. The second thing Sandhya will do is also go to Glassdoor, and she's going to watch every comment of people, negative, positive, what reply organization has given. And that's a very important part of the branding, by the way, right? You have to reply to each of one of your Glassdoor review. Third thing she might do, if she's more excited, she might pick up the phone, find some people on the LinkedIn which work for the same company and maybe in the same similar kind of role, and ask direct questions to them, like how this company is. What I'm trying to tell you, Shrikant, is that now candidates are also very choosy. They should be. It's not an easy decision for them, right? And employer branding play a very important role. What if? So, okay, Facebook page, company driven. So information is given by company. It's still worth, but maybe from a candidate perspective is more like you are telling me what you want to tell, so you might not tell me the bad things. Glassdoor, okay, platform where you don't have any control as an organization. You can only reply back to the things which people are saying there, and you make a perspective around it. But when you're making a call to a person and asking that person is going to tell you honestly, right, what that person feels, because that person doesn't know you, and they don't have any interest to say positive and negative out. So employer branding is basically what your people, your existing employees, tell about you. We recently conducted a survey, employee engagement survey in organization, and I'm proud to say that our employee ENPS, which is called Employee Net Promoter Score, was 64. This is huge. This is huge. Like 30, 40 is very, very, very good. 64 is awesome. So if your people are your promoters, that's what your employer branding is.
Right.
And it plays a big role. Sandhya, absolutely a big role in. So if you are struggling with your recruitment, one way you should talk about is employer branding.
Right.
Our focus.
Awesome. Fantastic. Love the answer. Love the passion that you show in everything that you do. Govind, I want to ask a question here, which actually Deepthi asked a while ago. Let me find that question. It's Okay, I'll kind of paraphrase that question. She asked about give some examples of accountability related to employee engagement. But I think what she really means is when you want to engage with the employees more, there is a lot of freedom that comes into the picture, right? You cannot micromanage. You have to give them a lot of space and everything, and balancing accountability with that freedom is probably a challenge HR managers have. So how do they address that?
By the way, Shrikant, it is not HR manager's job.
Yeah,
So this is the myth which organization need to come out of it. It is not talent job to control attrition. It is not talent job to control employee engagement. It is a collective responsibility of every business leader.
Hmm.
HR is the facilitator,
Yes.
is the driver, is the one who's providing the expertise on the table. Like HR can say, looking at the industry, I think these are the best thing we should do, right? A, B, C, D. Who gonna drive it? The managers. If your manager is bullshit, then you cannot retain your people by giving them gifts, by giving them increments. People might leave increment over a bad manager, and
Hmm.
this is not a hidden, you know,
Yeah.
secret. Everybody know people leave. Most people leave their managers. That's
Right.
what we need to do. So when it comes to be accountability, let me put this way. So when I joined 3 Pillar India, one thing I saw is that there's no attendance machine at all.
Uh,
So we used to have flexible working. We have like flexible working is like a long back thing we implemented. And I started digging a little bit more. Like, I came from an organization where you used to have attendance machine.
Mhm.
So I understand flexible working. I understand that you can choose anytime you want to choose, but still need to complete 8 hours, right? How do you know that your team member has completed 8 hours? And
Right.
it took me some time when I had conversation with some leaders to understand that we trust our people. Our
Mhm.
first reaction is that we trust our people. It's not that we do not trust them. We trust that they are doing what they are supposed to do. And it works
Mhm.
really pretty well. For
Mhm.
one person or few people taking advantage of your system, you cannot penalize the majority of people and take away the benefit. So that's what the accountability is all about. It has to be built by the managers, by the team members in a very
Mhm.
conducive environment. It is both way, and it is hard.
Right.
Like, but it comes again, circling back. It comes to your culture. It comes to your leadership. All are connected. Hope I was able to do a justice to what she asked for.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think trust is the basis. It's a culture thing. Absolutely, whether your culture is built on trust or lack of trust is going to determine how how you're able to hold people accountable. And I think it's very very well said. What point you made that because of a handful of people who are probably going to take advantage of that trust which you have, don't penalize the others. I think that's a fantastic point you made. We've come to the absolute end of the show. I think it's been amazing speaking to you, Govind. Your intent and your the how humble you are shows up in the way you addressed a lot of these questions. And I think I want to wish you all the best for HR Success Talk, because I think it's a fantastic initiative which you've taken. People management is one of the biggest challenges that businesses face right now, and it's got more exaggerated because of the current remote working and hybrid working and all of these kind of situations. And great HR managers are very important part. Like you said, HR managers are not doing some sideline execution kind of a thing, attendance and payroll and all that stuff. They are becoming business partners, accountable for profitability, accountable for growth of the organization, and so on. And I think organizations or communities like HR Success Talk are doing a fantastic job in educating and empowering such professionals. So thank you so much, Govind, and thank you everyone in the audience. It's a Friday evening, and I'm sure you have a lot of things that you planned up for the end of the week. I really appreciate you taking the time off. I hope you found great value in attending this session. Thank you so much, Govind. I hope you had a good time too.
Thank you. And once again, thanks for inviting me and sharing my thoughts with the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening. Bye bye.